we didn't learn anything new about Dak. He's yet to win a divisional game. The first two weren't on him as much. I think we just know who Dak is. This was the biggest moment in his career, and you got upset at me for the first pick. The interception he threw to Michael Gallup, toward Michael Gallup. Gallup, yes, he could have made a better play on the ball, but the cornerback saw the route because Dak had his eyes lasered right onto him the entire time. You telegraph your pass like this, whether you're a point guard or a quarterback, it's going to be easier for the defensive back or the defensive player to jump it. The second interception to Fred Warner was terrible. Dak Prescott is a good quarterback, right? It reminds me a ton of Alex Smith in Kansas City. And we'll talk about the parallels to the Chiefs 6 years ago. If Dak didn't have two turnovers, if Dak capitalized on Ray McLeod's fumble inside the red zone, or with 45 seconds, even got halfway across the field, the Cowboys could have won this game. This was the biggest game of Dak's career. I'm not here to pin the blame necessarily on him entirely, but he was the biggest reason they lost. Tony Pollard probably could have helped them win the game if he were healthy, but that's kind of the point here. Dak had many opportunities. Special teams gifted him one. The defense gave him the ball back with 45 seconds. No timeouts. The reason there are no timeouts is because Mike McCarthy didn't trust him on a 4th and 10 to continue a drive that was already dead. Dak played horrible. And this is coming off a week where he was great. That's the inconsistencies with him. I don't understand how his career. I'm pretty surprised as his career has gone on, he's gotten more and more turnover prone. That's because
this is his only year where he has been turnover prone like this.
As he's aged with the injuries,
this is his only year where he's had a turnover problem. That is not a factual statement. This is the only year where the turnovers have been astronomically out of the world. He has not been a turnover worthy guy.
I think turnovers are an overrated stat, but the timing of them matters a ton.
100%, 100%. It's not. Yes, it's not when you turn it over. It's not. If you turn it over, it's when you turn it over. But again, you completely disregarded the ball. Dak was not known for turnovers in his career. For the first 6 years of his career, he was not. This was the first year where he had started to turn the ball over at an enormous rate. And I'm not giving him a pass for that. He deserves his blame for that. But in one sentence, John, you say, I'm not trying to pin the blame wholly on Zach. And then the literal next sentence is, but he was the biggest reason they lost this game. Yeah, just choose your side. Listen, he was the biggest reason. So then you are pinning this blame solely on Dak, which is not a fault of yours. That's not a problem. That's just how you saw the game. But just stand on it if that's how you feel. Okay, because I will agree with you. Dak Prescott did not play. I said Dak Prescott did not play well enough to win this game. That was a Super Bowl defense performance by the Dallas Cowboys, and Dak Prescott fumbled the bag. I mean, was that the 4th and 10 you were talking about that McCarthy didn't trust him? Was that the 40, not the 40, the before the 2-minute warning is what you're talking about?
When they punted.
Come on, bro. That was at the 20 freaking yard line. You want him to go for that? If they don't get that, John, that game is literally sealed over.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
The field goal, and they literally are in position to kick the field goal. They kick the field goal, and it's over.
If you're paying a quarterback $40 million, oftentimes you would trust him on that play.
No, you do not not at that position of the field at that time in the game. You do not do that.
You would have pulled that game.
Elijah Mitchell getting back into the game.
Mike McCarthy's job would be on the line if he did that, because you don't do that as a head coach. You're down by 7. And you go for it, 4th and 10. If it's 4th and 3, 4th and 5, okay, I can feel you a little bit. 4th and 10, you bugging against the number 1 defense. You got 3 timeouts. Yes, 2-minute warning coming. You're putting the 49ers at the 20-yard line if you don't get that. They run 3 plays. Your timeouts are gone. 2-minute warning's gone. They can kick a field goal. Game's over. You get the ball back. There's nothing you can do because you're down 2 scores with less than 2 minutes to go. You do not go for that, John. That is a terrible decision if you think Mike McCarthy made a mistake there. No. He had faith in his defense to go get a stop for them, which they did because they've been playing outstanding all season. And then if you want to get into the final drive of the game, I mean, Dalton Schultz. What are we doing, guy? I know the game is pretty much over, but I mean, you got to give it a shot as a shot. A Hail Mary is a Hail Mary for a reason, because you're just throwing it up, hoping for something. But I mean, how do you guys feel about that? Because I mean, that's poor, lazy, nonchalant effort right
I wouldn't
there.
say it's lazy. It's tough to get that second foot in. Brandon's talking about the play where Dak 25-yard out route to
He had a
Dalton Schultz with 13
he
seconds.
took a full freaking step and did not put that toe down once. That's lazy.
Well, he's a tight end. If it's a receiver, you usually see them having the footwork down pat. I feel like for Dallas on that last drive, yeah, it didn't help.
He had plenty of room to get 2
You're
feet.
cutting him a little too much. I saw
he
that.
didn't even need to drag the toe. He could have got his whole foot down.
Boom. He could have took 2 more steps with that foot before he went out of bounds.
Listen, and that last drive was just clear.
It was terrible.
Clear
Lack of prep.
lack of prep. Yeah, that's just bad coaching. I mean, that's 2 bonehead plays by Dalton Schultz at the end of the game, going out of bounds and not driving upfield, at least to go out of bounds to stop the clock. It was just obviously just clearly not coached well enough. And the 49ers players knew it. I think it was, who was it? Tart that was pointing it out, like, yo, let's go. Clock's still running.
Yeah. That final play was terrible too. I don't even know.
Oh my gosh. First off, that might be one of the more hilarious plays I've ever seen in my life. And it's crazy that what might be Ezekiel Elliott's last time playing as a Cowboy, and the last picture of him is being flattened to end the game.
Your heroes don't go out like they usually should. They usually go out.
I felt thrown to Kevondre Turpin, who's my weight, my height, when you could have had 2 linemen with T.Y. Hilton. It was funny. But that last drive also hinted to me a lack of composure. Patrick Mahomes, Joe Burrow, if you give those guys 4 plays, you trust them to at least get into the opponent's territory. Now, I agree. Dalton Schultz, he sold them too on the other play as well. That being said,
Dak did it. He delivered the ball to Dalton. I mean, literally, Patrick Mahomes would have done the same thing, delivered it. If Travis Kelce doesn't put his foot down, John, that's not on Dak being unprepared. I agree. The coaching staff was unprepared in them. It seemed like they really did not know what the hell to do. I think it mostly had to do with because Dalton, after the Schultz foot went out of bounds, they literally went at probably looked at each other like, well, I mean, we're at the freaking 20-yard line, 25. I mean, hell, you could just do a backyard football. I don't know what the hell that was. I mean, I don't know what that was, but let's give some love to CeeDee Lamb at least. CeeDee Lamb showed up and showed out. He is a true number 1 receiver in my eyes. That catch that he made, that Dak again, he underthrew the football. If he hit him in stride, that would have been a touchdown. But that was absolutely, and literally a minute before that, they were talking about how he went out of the game and had his 2 fingers taped up, and then he goes and makes that freaking catch. That's absolutely insane.
He's living up to
catches,
the 88 like I was critical of.
He's living up to the 88.
10 catches, 117 yards. He is a wide receiver number 1.
He's a wide receiver number 1.
Reception machine. I mean, fantasy purposes, I'm going to be looking for him next season.
Yeah.
I just want to say, I see people saying that they missed Amari Cooper. I don't necessarily think so, because CD balled the hell out as the number 1. I just believe, I mean,
I think Dak just missed some open reads. I mean,
he missed open reads.
You and I were texting during the game, and you pointed out one to T.Y. Hilton that could have been
the one where Fred Warner made a great play on CD Lamb. I mean, T.Y. was wide open on the literally 5 feet the other way on the left side. He stared down. He got CD centric. He did. He got CD centric, and we actually haven't seen that really all year. He was getting Noah Brown centric for a little bit. You remember all those games? The Jacksonville one points out perfectly. But yeah, I don't think Amari was really necessarily missed. I understand. I mean, Schultz has been great basically all year, and he just, I mean, I think that more has to do with the scheming. They didn't scheme him open enough, or Dak maybe just missed him. I don't know. They
missed a healthy Tony Pollard. But
what
this reminds me of is the Chiefs 6 years ago with Alex Smith. Kansas City had some, great defenses back in the day before they got Alex. Top 5 in the league, special weapons, and then Andy Reid came in. With Alex, they're a playing team nearly perennially. They're always 9 to 12 win squad. We always knew when the Chiefs had Alex Smith, they weren't quite good enough at quarterback to win at the highest levels. With Dallas, it's the same thing. Once you pay that QB and he's not good enough at $40 million, it is harder to support him with every single thing that he needs. Dak is good enough if you give him every single thing. If I'm the Cowboys, the same way Kansas City did 6 years ago, I'm looking at quarterbacks in the first round so I can invest in somebody that can sit behind Dak Prescott. And you know what? Whole light of fire underneath Dak, because Dak needs to be better in these games. I think Dak's good, and 20 teams would love to have him. That's why the same way Kansas City did with Alex Smith, you can move him, and someone's going to be happy and give you a
That's a
second or a
once in a
third round
lifetime.
pick.
John,
But you
John, that's
have to
once in a lifetime.
you
That's a
have
once
to
in a lifetime.
but you have to take these shots, and not many teams do. If you
You
want to
do.
win a Super Bowl, you're not going to attack on this contract. It's what the upside is here.
Is that
It's
a caveat? Are you putting a caveat with this contract? Do you believe Dak can win a Super Bowl, or is the caveat, or you don't believe Dak can win a Super Bowl even if he's on the lesser contract?
if he's making $35 to $40 million, I don't think so. No, because you're going to need to support him with everything. And they
So, like
draft
if he's making 25 million, 20 million, you think that he can win a Super Bowl?
if he's getting what Brady's getting each season, then there is a caveat on that note. But for the Cowboys, man, there's no reason you shouldn't be looking to a quarterback. You need to get
I
higher
think
upside play, and you need to get somebody who's cheaper. I feel like with Zeke, it's a tough thing that hamstrings them. You can't have two things right there in that offense because it makes the margin for error so much slimmer. And we've seen with Dak, he is too inconsistent to rely on him in these moments. I like Dak, great story, and he's overcome a lot, man. But if you're trying to win a Super Bowl and that's the expectation, you can't put all the blame on Mike McCarthy. Dak was the reason they won, the biggest reason they did not win, and it wasn't solely Mike McCarthy and his staff.
no, but I just, man, dude, if you're gonna move on from Dak, who I believe is a borderline top 10, I think you guys would agree he's at least top 15.
Mhm.
Pretty big gap there between the top 8 and the top 12, wouldn't you say? If they're making all the same money, man, big difference there.
Okay. I mean, yeah, yes and no, but to me, it's just you better be right. You better hit it because if you don't, and you're giving up on Dak, and you end up
You're not giving up on Dak. You're
no,
just
no,
drafting
no,
the
giving up.
quarterbacks
I
who
mean,
get
like,
points.
yeah, getting a new guy. I mean, sorry, I shouldn't have said giving up, but getting a new guy in there. It's just you better be right with that because if you're not, you could be looking at a much worse future. Because like I always say, the grass ain't always green on the other side.
It
I
might be.
truly believe. Listen, I'll one last statement for me, and then we can move on. But or if you guys have anything else to say after this, but I wholly disagree with John on that. I do believe Dak Prescott is good enough to win the Super Bowl. I believe I stand behind this. The Dallas Cowboys lost this game. The 49ers did not win this game. You had two. I mean,
I don't necessarily
I
agree
just
with that.
I look at all the
You
things
punching the
going through.
touchdown. You got a fumble on your own opponent's 20
I
yard
get.
line.
I look at. I just look at everything in its totality. In terms of, I believe they outplayed the 49ers that entire game. I just feel
They
like
did.
two turnovers basically, robbed them of the game. But two dropped interceptions, a blocked PAT, Pollard going down before half. The O-line came in banged up. No cornerback 2 or cornerback 3. Zero run game after Pollard goes down. Dak didn't play well, and they only let up 19 points and lose by
Dak
one
played like
score.
trash. It wasn't that he played well. He was
I
terrible.
just said he didn't play well.
There's a pretty big difference between playing like trash and not playing well. Brock Purdy didn't play well, but Brock Purdy finished with no turnovers. Dak Prescott played like trash, man.
I don't think he played
Absolute
like trash. I don't think he played well. I think he played
That was a terrible
That's
game.
what
I don't think he
trash.
brought it yet. I mean, the only reason they would have won that game would have been because of the defense. Dak Prescott, I don't think did nearly enough to
No, I agree.
capitalize them to a win.